Welcome to the Sailor Jimmy Podcast, your one-stop shop for raw takes on current events, sports, news, and everything in between. Inspiring people to chase their dreams, share their success stories, and find joy in life. Now, here's your captain at the helm, U.S. Navy veteran, Jimmy Rogers.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh, yeah. What are you guys up to?
Everything.
I'm sitting in the studio right now. Scott's at his house, I think.
Yeah.
Nashville?
You got to take care of Jurassic Park out here.
It's getting to be that time.
Well, anyways, hey, man, thanks for taking the time today to spend a little time with us on this podcast. We like to start off the show with doing this or that. So just have a little fun with you guys. So we're looking for one-word responses. Sometimes it doesn't go that way. But anyways, just have fun with it.
Okay.
So we'll start with you, Scott. Do you prefer pork or beef?
Beef.
Spider-Man or Batman?
Batman.
You rather dine in or dine out?
Out.
Coffee or tea?
Tea.
Interesting. This next one, Lindsay and I were debating last night. Wine or whiskey?
Wine.
Yes.
The fruit of the gods.
I was talking to Lindsay last night, and I was like, well, he has a song about wine, and then he has his own whiskey bottle or whiskey brand, so I don't know which one he's going to choose, but I went with wine, she went with whiskey, so I won that. And then beans. No beans or beans in your chili?
No beans.
No beans.
I don't really like chili.
Non-Southern roots.
I'm saying real Texas chili has no beans.
All right, Donnie, we're going to come firing at you with the same ones. Pork or beef?
Beef.
My man. Spider-Man or Batman?
Batman.
These DC guys, dine in or dine out?
Dine out.
My guy. Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Wine or whiskey?
Wine.
Oh, it shocked me on that one. I thought that was going to be
Yes.
whiskey for sure. Beans or no beans in the chili?
Depends on the chili. Skyline, no beans. My chili, beans.
All right, that's fair enough.
See, I'm like, if I'm eating a hot dog, I don't want any beans.
Yeah,
Thanks.
I agree with that.
Yeah. But if I'm like eating like chili with like a Frito pie or something, I'm beans all the way. So.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna jump right into it. I think what is very interesting and people want to know is how did, and I'm sure a lot of people already know, you've told the story a lot on stage. How did the War Hippies become? Like how did y'all come together and how was it born?
Believe it or not, I had met Scott. We had met a couple years ago at a video shoot for another artist, and we connected briefly, just in passing. I ended up following him on socials, and I happened to during the pandemic, or it's like during the pandemic, it was 2020 or 2021, right? Either right smack dab in the middle of it or right after it, when we still couldn't tour and stuff. He sent a message about supporting veteran-owned businesses, or he didn't send it. I saw a post that he put up about supporting veteran-owned businesses, and I just was like, I'm going to message this dude. And I sent him a message, and I said, hey, man, I'm a combat vet. I got a studio over in Nashville. You should come over and visit. And he came over and visited, and I mean, I know it sounds cliche, but the rest is really history. It just kind of took its own shape after that.
So did y'all just get in the studio and just start like hammering out music and?
Well, so basically, like we were hanging out, we were coming to the studio and just having hangs, really. And at this point, I'd actually never heard Donnie play before, and he'd never heard me live before it at all. And I was doing a benefit at Third and Lindsley in Nashville, and it was like 20 other artists on it. And I told Donnie, I said, hey, man, why don't you come sit in with me? I'm playing 3-4 songs just by myself. And he's like, yeah, sure. So we get there and we're in the green room, and Donnie goes, "Hey, so what songs are we playing?" And I was like, "Man, I don't know." And he goes, "You got like a key signature that you like to use or anything?" And I said, "Man, I think I'm just going to wing it." And he goes, "All right, man, cool. I like your style." And so we go out on stage and we play these songs, and we end up getting like a 2.5 minute standing ovation. It was wild. No other artist that was there. And we're talking, there were some pretty big names on this thing. There was no other standing ovations. And we get back in the green room and we're just like, kind of like fist bumping, like, "Oh, that was awesome," you know. And our wives came back and it was like, "What was that?" And we were like, "I don't know, but it was cool, right?" And they're like, "Yeah." And then my booking agent for Scooter Brown Band came up and he was like, "Hey, no, really, but like, what's up with that? Like, are you guys doing something?" Like, I could see the twinkle in his eyes, you know? And so Donnie started like, he'd come out and play some songs with Scooter Brown Band and a couple of shows. Donnie owns a studio in Nashville. He's been producing music now for like 5 years, 6 years. He toured with the Frontmen. And he kind of was like off the road and like, "Hey man, I've got my studio now. I don't really want to do the road life anymore." So I didn't really know if Donnie was going to want to do anything more than a side project with this. And so that's kind of how it started, was like, "Hey, what if we make some music here and there? What if we play a couple shows a year?" You know, and so that's kind of how it started. And then when we put out our first deal, all of a sudden the phone started ringing and the socials started blowing up going, "Hey guys, like, what is this?" And a longtime friend of Donnie's, a guy named J.W. Roth, got a hold of him and said, "Hey, do you guys have the trademarks on this? Because this is bigger than music. It's a brand." Yeah. And so sure enough, it had never been trademarked. And we bought up all the trademarks, and JW said, I want to partner up with you on this. And it was off to the races. Next thing you know, we picked up a tour with Travis Tritt. We didn't even have a song out yet or an album. So we had to throw together an album in like 30 days. And
I remember you
just
called
like
me to make,
yeah,
you called me to make some hats. You're like, "Dude, I need hats in like 10 days. Like, we're going on tour with Travis Tritt."
So, dude, it really is wild, man. Like, I did Scooter Brown Band for 15 plus years, and you know, we had our success and some really great things that had happened for us. I have never been a part of anything that has just taken off as fast as this, to where this is the first year since 2005 Scooter Brown Band has 0 dates on the books for this year, because the focus is War Hippies. And it's kind of given, and I know I'm taking up a lot of the time right now, Donnie can take over, but like, for me, it's given me a new lease on the music, because I was getting tired. I was getting bored. The COVID freaking knocked me out, man. I mean, 2019, we had such a huge run with Charlie Daniels leading up to 2019. 2020, we were doing this huge tour. It was us and Charlie Daniels and Marshall Tucker Band. And it was really next level stuff. And then it just went away. And
it feels like just like the way you guys tell the story, that it was like destined. Like, it was God wanted this to happen for you guys. And like, it was, maybe this was his intervention into your lives to rejuvenate you, Scott, and you guys were meant to meet each other. And I mean, I feel like you guys are living your dream.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. You're right. You're right, man. We say it all the time. It's just so serendipitous how it all happened, and it. You know, I didn't think I was going to go back out. One of my number one passions is to perform for people, but you know, I just kind of thought that it'd run its course. Never thought in a million years. You know, it's like you know, playing in the majors and then, you know, going into management, and then they call you. They're like, "Hey, man, we need you to pitch again." You know, like, all right,
that arm ready kid or what?
Like the movie Major League.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool, man. I know you guys both started in the military. Scott, you were a Marine. Donnie, you were in the Army. Before the show started, Chris, you wanted to talk to him about that video we watched before the show?
Yeah.
It was interesting. He was showing me a another podcast with Ben Roethlisberger.
Yeah. So whenever Jimmy asked me if I wanted to come do this, I was on the couch with my roommate, and I told her, I was like, yeah, Scott and Donnie are going to come and do the show. And they were like, oh my God, like I just saw this video, and it's Ben Roethlisberger for 6 minutes talking about how he met a male cheerleader that looks like Chris Stapleton. And he comes up to me with this absolutely ridiculous story that I was never going to believe. And then he showed me pictures like, yeah, there's me holding my future wife. Like, you married her? Like, what's going on here? And like, it was like a 6-minute promo for War Hippies and that y'all served, and like where y'all can listen to their music and all this kind of stuff. And I thought it was really cool that, I mean, it really sounded like you left an impression on one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. So, I mean,
he kept saying like, man, imagine like somebody looking like Chris Stapleton telling you he's a cheerleader.
Well, the funny thing is that the thing is it's been 21 years since we've seen each other, but I look nothing like I did when I was in college. Unrecognizable. And so the few times that we did hang out at parties and drink, like his backup quarterback is still one of my best friends. So like I knew all the guys and stuff, but the few times we did hung out, he had zero recollection of whatsoever. We used to work out in the same gym and everything, and then because I'm completely not, but when he did start kind of, it's just a little bit of it started to kind of come back, and he did, man. He was, and the funny thing about that day was I hadn't seen him in 21 years, and we walked into Kimosabi, and Scott noticed him because he's huge. Scott's like, who's this big mother effer? You know what I mean?
Well, and honestly, I didn't know it was him. I just walked by because I'm 6'3", 225 pounds. Like I'm a pretty big dude. And like this dude made me feel like a little chump. I was like, God, man. I'm just trying to take a leak, dude. Can you get out of the way, bro? Like, and
yeah, that's a little bin over there.
I go up to the bathroom, or I come back out, and Donnie comes up and goes, hey, man, did you see Ben? And I said, Ben, who? Like Roethlisberger. I was like, oh, is that big dude? He's like, yeah. And so the funniest thing, so like we're up in Aspen, and so we run into him, and I'm like, hey man, like we got to grab a picture. How often you run into Ben Roethlisberger? So we go up to the top of the mountain, and we come back down, and we're having a drink at the bottom, and all of a sudden Ben and his wife come walking out of this place. And he looks over at us, and we kind of give him the nod, and like
we're in like this VIP section with like roped off with like red carpet,
like,
and he's like,
what's up, bro? and so we had decided that we're going to go back to Kimosabi that evening before our show and do like 3-4 songs, just kind of like for a VIP thing over there. And so we're like, hey, you should come check this out. Because he's like, man, I'd come to the show. I don't like to be around crowds and stuff like that because I just get hounded, I was like, fair enough. So he came back over and watched the 3 or 4 songs that we did. And so now this is the third time that we saw him that day. So we leave, and we're going to get ready for the show. We go sound check, and then the owner of the bar, Andrew Sandler, that goes, hey, why don't we go out to eat one of our favorite Italian restaurants? So we're sitting there at this table, the three of us, and there's like this doorway, and all of a sudden this head just comes poking out like this with a cowboy hat on, and it was Ben again. And I was like, man, are you stalking us, dude?
And he goes, all right, gentlemen, this is getting a little weird. And so now it's funny because we exchanged numbers. We've been texting back and forth to catch, and all this stuff. And I texted him. I was like, dude, it was real good seeing you, man. He's like, man, it's crazy. You just texted me. And then he sends me the link to the podcast. And he goes, listen to this. I was just talking about you guys.
He said he heard y'all play a few songs, and he was very impressed, and it was really cool to just watch you guys perform.
Yeah,
he talked about Donnie. You told him that you were on a violin scholarship for when you went to college, and you dropped it to go join the Army. So he thought that was great.
Totally did. Yeah, I got to college. So Ben's a year younger than me, and I got there in Miami, and we actually had we both had full rides. His was for football, mine was for violin. But yeah, when the towers went down, that's when I gave my scholarship back.
Yeah, and he mentioned that in the podcast, and then he said that when he met Scott, that he remembered that your mentor was Charlie Daniels and all this kind of stuff. And I thought that was really cool that y'all have such an impression on him because he remembered a lot.
Probably meets a lot of people.
Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine the amount of interactions he has daily with people. But I just thought it was really cool that he's like, yeah, these guys, I mean, they're just living the dream. War Hippies, go check them out, like all this kind of stuff. And it was just kind of ironic that he texted me the same day that almost this podcast came out.
Well, that's the funny thing. Like, that's what you were talking about before. Like, it's destined. It's serendipitous. What are the chances? What are the chances that we run into Ben? I haven't seen Ben in 21 years. What are the chances? The owners of Kemosabe went to Miami University too.
Right.
So we all have this connection. We run into him 4 times, reconnect on a real level, and get that. And it's funny. It's like what the other guy say. Because he went from the biggest liar you've ever met to the most interesting person
yes,
in
exactly.
the world.
It's sort of about the conversation with how people can't just say, "Hey, what's up?" They just have to like make up something to get your attention.
Try to be cool.
Try to be cool, and then he's just like, "So how cool is it that this guy just had the most unbelievable story of all time, and then ended up being the most interesting man on the planet and the coolest man I've ever heard?"
Like, I'm just walking in, this guy just comes walking up to me. He looks like Chris Stapleton, and I'm like, "Who the hell is this guy?"
I was a male cheerleader in Miami. Sure, you were.
Well, this whole time,
it was really cool.
Donnie had been telling me before about how like that, that he went to school with Ben and that, that they'd hung out and all this stuff. And then, I'm like, yeah, cool, man. Like, and I'm like, is he full of shit or is he just like, and then Ben's there and then they're all freaking like, oh my gosh, they all talk about the same people and everything. And I was like, well, I guess Donnie ain't full of shit.
He's not messing with me.
So, how did I saw you guys play at Do-Si-Do a while back? I think it was like maybe a month ago down here in Texas.
Mm-hmm.
And
it's a great show.
What obviously, Donnie, you're a big personality. You seem like you're a lot of fun. Scott, when you guys are on the road together, like what's it like having Donnie as a brother? I mean, I know you guys have a connection because you're both veterans and you served in the military. So there's probably some connection there and camaraderie. But what's it like being with Donnie on a trip, on a 4-day weekend tour trip or something like that?
I'm sorry.
Tell us a story.
You're not going to sleep.
Tell us a story. I can only imagine, man. But I feel like he's the guy like he keeps you alive, man.
What's that line? Freaking, we're gonna go streaking through the gym and the gymnasium and the quad.
Through the quad.
No, it's funny because with War Hippies, I mean, War Hippies itself it's like a yin and a yang, right? Donnie and I are similar in a lot of ways, but we're also a yin and a yang. Like Donnie is a super energetic, like just a personality that like you can't help but be drawn to, and people like see that and they just like, because Donnie's rarely ever like in a bad mood. Like Donnie's usually an upbeat, like, and I feed off of that because I'm a super chill. I'm a super like, I've got the male version of resting bitch face. Like I look like I want to murder people all the time, and I could be happy, but I just don't like have that kind of energy that I put out. And so for me, it's awesome to have a partner like Donnie because he goes and he does or says things or makes connections with people that I would never make a connection with because I am the dude in the corner that's kind of like laid back. Whereas Donnie just like he will talk to anybody. He will like engage with anybody. And it's not that I don't want to, it's just not my personality. I mean, I think that 98% of the time we get along great. Like on the road, we might piss each other off like a here and there, but we're grown ass men. We talk about it and like fist bump and like, let's roll, like
brothers.
Yeah, it really is. But he's fun, man. He's a trip. And then just getting to be able to, share a stage with him and watch him perform and put on the show that he does, is fun too. It makes me want to be better at music and a better performer. So it's awesome. I'll love it. Even the times that I want to slap the shit out of him, I love it. And I'm sure he wants to slap the shit out of me sometimes too. It's all good.
Man. I don't know. I get Jack Black from School of Rock from Donnie vibes.
That's a lot of energy, man.
After that Dusty Do show, I stuck around and I got to talk to both y'all individually for a little bit. And you could totally tell the two personalities that you're just talking about. Scott, you're inside and you're having a glass of wine and you're just hanging out. You're like, man, I'm ready to get back to the trailer, But we start talking about like Scott Brown Band and the transition to War Hippies and how much you love this project and all this kind of stuff. And then I go outside and Donnie's smoking a cigarette and I'm telling him like, hey, Scott says he's tired. He's going to bed. He's like, the hell he is. Like, and then I start talking to Donnie about y'all too. And it's like y'all have the exact same thing to say about each other. Almost like y'all took PR training, which I know y'all didn't, but y'all are just speaking from the heart and how much y'all know each other so well and all that kind of stuff. And it was really cool to see like how the yin and the yang, yet it meshes so perfectly with y'all two, and how much y'all care about this project. And that Dosey Do show was one of the best shows I've ever seen in my life. Like, I'm not just trying to kiss your ass. It's like, that was a next level experience. I know, Scott, that's one of your favorite venues.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, you talk about it all the time there, like just the intimacy and those four walls and your start of your career and stuff like that. But that show was like, I bought a whole table upstairs for that concert. And I mean, no one said a word to each other. Like, you have to be quiet in that venue to begin with, but no one gave a shit who was next to you. Like, we were just locked in watching Donnie be a goofball on the piano or you watching Donnie play the piano. And it was just, that was one of the coolest concerts I've ever been to. So,
well, I would definitely appreciate that. And I'd like to add too, just with the dichotomy of what we're doing with War Hippies and everything. We also, I think, have, I don't know that it's ever been said out loud, but we also have a trust and a belief in one another of the fact that, like, I mean, we're both, I just turned 42. Donnie's going to be 42 in a couple months. I mean, starting a new project in this business at 40 plus years old is daunting. And we also know that, like, this is our shot. Like, this is our opportunity to really go to that next level that we've been trying to ascend to individually. And so we both are responsible for that. Like, when it's just Donnie, or if it's just Scooter Brown Band or whatever, like, I'm just responsible for that. But like, we are trusting each other that we are going to build this empire together. And at the end of the day, create hopefully a brand and an economy that's going to, like Donnie always says, like, pay a lot of mortgages. And we want to make a ton of money to be able to give back and do good things in the world with it and be good stewards. And we trust each other with that. And so, like, even when there's hard times, even when, we might agree or disagree on something, like, we go about it as men and as business people and say, okay, what's the best for moving forward? Because after this, man, if War Hippies, I'm not going back to doing Scooter Brown Band. I'm just not. Like,
you heard it here first.
I'm gonna be. This probably is the first time I've said that out loud. Like, I just don't have any ambition for that anymore. I'll have to go. I have to figure out something else.
We'll go into investment banking.
You walk into Frost Bank and say,
but no, Scott's exactly right, man. I mean, it is. It's we've both had careers. I have made I've made mistakes. I've learned from them. I've had great successes. I've had great failures, but all of them have taught me a lot, and I'm still learning. I say this all the time. I know a lot about a lot of shit. I know a whole lot less about a whole lot more. And it's kind of that mentality, and we're able to really navigate it in a way because we are men. I mean, I'm not just thinking about like, it's in our 20s we probably would have been fist fighting,
Yeah.
but now it's like, I like there's just it's all small shit. It's all small, and it's
Y'all don't have egos that get in the way.
no.
Yeah, I mean, you guys look at each other on an equal playing field, and you're in it together.
Yeah.
And
that's how this whole thing works. Like that was our conversation from the beginning was, I mean, Donnie's played with a lot of people, but I believe that I was the first one to ask him to share it. I was like, I don't want it to be Scott Brown and the violin player on the side. I said, I want you to share it. Center stage. I was like, there's no ego here, man. Like, you do what you do. Great. I do what I do. And let's combine them together and see what we can do with it. And, you gotta take the ego out. Like, this ego doesn't work in this situation.
Not at all.
Well, we did that night with both of y'all talk a lot about like y'all's future. We'll continue to talk about that on this podcast. But one thing that both of you said is that one thing you love about this project and what you're doing is that the music that you're putting out, it makes people feel something. Like when they listen to you, especially live, I mean, there's not a single song that you're going to play, even if they never heard it. If you're listening to the lyrics and you're listening to Donnie play that violin or even the piano or listen to you sing these lyrics, like they're going to feel something. And because of that, like, as far as I'm concerned, the future is just so bright for the War Hippies. Because if you keep pumping out this music and you keep sending the messages that you're sending out while you're on stage and stuff like that, there isn't a person on this planet that's not going to be like, I can relate to that, or I feel it, or I want more of it. I mean, absolutely, it's going to just be an amazing journey for you guys, and I can't wait to watch it.
I mean, you guys are already accomplishing so much, and I'm a big fan of Travis Tritt. All-time favorite country artist.
He's the man.
What's it like? I want to know what's it like being around him. What's he like as a person? So one night on Twitter, I just tweeted him one night, and I was telling him, I was like, hey, he was talking about military organizations. I was like, hey, I have this organization called Boots for Troops. Here's what we do. And he went on our website and donated $500. Never met me, doesn't know who I am, just off a tweet. So the guy is just obviously a very nice guy. And but what's it like being on tour with him? What was your interaction like with Travis Tritt?
It's like any time you get a chance. It's like even when I was anytime you get a chance to play with your heroes and the icons, and you get to and the on stage thing and the interactions are once you get over the pinch me kind of moment where you start to realize that it's real, it's not a dream. Travis has been just beyond kind to us. He is he doesn't have to take us out on the road. He doesn't have to take out two guys who've got an act that's a year old. We're in Nashville, Tennessee. There's a lot bigger people out here than us. And he's kind. He's accommodating to us. He's complimentary of the music. That's the biggest thing. I tell people, I'm like, we're not on. I said, Travis Tritt is a huge supporter of the veteran community, and he loves the fact that we are veterans. But I promise you, we're not on that stage because we're veterans. We're on that stage because he likes the music that we're playing. Yeah, and he likes the story. And because if we got up there, even though we were veterans and we were bad, like we wouldn't be up there.
You wouldn't be up there.
Not at all. The music still has to speak for itself. And the best way I can describe it is I've known Travis through the Charlie Daniels camp. And then I was on the USA Network Real Country show on Travis's team, and that's where we really kind of like hit it off. And but he treats us like family. I mean, he is a family man. 100%, his family comes first before anything, and he treats us like part of the family, and his family treats our family as like part of the family. He's just a super everything you could ever want of meeting a hero in the music business he is. 100%.
What's your favorite song to see him watch him perform?
Man, I don't know.
That's hard
Favorite,
saying.
I would say for me, it's so hard because his band is so freaking good. Um, I love it when he does his acoustic set because Travis is
That's what I was about
an
to say.
amazing guitar player. And even though it's not one of his songs, I love it when he does Long Hair Country Boy, Charlie Daniels. He does this amazing guitar intro at the beginning of it. I've actually stolen a little bit of the way that he sings that song of how I sing Long Hair Country Boy uh, because of Travis. And but then I love like, you know, Long Road to Richmond, rolling north on 95. Because the band kicks in and it's got that dobro in there, and everything he does is gold, man. The guy's got one of the most amazing voices in country music and one of the best damn guitar players that as a frontman.
Yeah, I mean, it's
But like you
amazing.
said, when he plays by himself, just sits up there on like a stool with just his guitar and him,
Oh man,
dude. I just like
That's magic.
I can almost like be moved to tears, dude. It's like so
yeah.
good. It's crazy.
Absolutely.
All right. So let's get into a different topic. I want to talk a little bit because I'm a veteran. You guys are veterans. It's a veteran podcast. I know you both served. I'm always interested in understanding why someone joined the military. All of us veterans joined for different reasons. So Scott, let's start with you. How old were you, and why did you decide to join the Marines?
So my Marine Corps choice is actually a funny story. Um, it's
Sweet.
fun. I've been telling this story a lot lately. We've been doing a lot of interviews and podcasts. For one, I always knew that I wanted to join the military. Um, Probably from 10 years old. I just knew that was going to be my path. I played baseball, did rodeo stuff growing up, but like I just knew that this is what I was going to do. And I loved the Army Rangers and the Green Berets. So many Rambo movies and all that stuff. And so I actually at 17 went to go talk to the Army recruiter, and I show up to this I show up to this recruiting office, and this dude walks out. He's wearing his beret, super skinny, but had this like beer gut, and his pant leg was like hiked up on his sock, and he was smoking a cigarette. And he opens the door right before I'm about to walk in, and he's like smoking a cigarette. He's like, "Hey, what are you doing here, man? Can I help you?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm supposed to be meeting with you about talking about joining the Army." And he's smoking a cigarette. Oh man, I totally forgot you were coming. Hey, I got a jet for like 20 minutes. Just sit here on this curb, and I'll be back. And I was like, oh, all right, cool. So I'm sitting on this curb about 5 minutes, and this door swings open behind me, and this dude comes walking out, just this jacked freaking Marine, Staff Sergeant Gonzalez, perfect uniform, creases. It was just beautiful. And I was like, he looked at me and goes, "Hey man, what are you doing?" I said, "I'm sitting here waiting for this Army guy to get back. He forgot I was coming today." He looked me in the face and he goes, "You want to look like that shitbag, or you want to look like this?" And I said, "I want to look like that." He goes, "Step into my office." So I freaking walked into the office and I freaking joined the damn Marine Corps before that dude ever got back.
Nice.
But
Oh man, I hope that recruiter sees this.
Amazing
We're gonna
how
post that
life
on-
works.
yeah.
Like, can you imagine the trajectory of your life
it's
had that guy not forgotten that you were there?
Dude, I would.
Like-
So I'm originally from Colorado. Like, the fact that I joined the Marine Corps and I met the guys that I met, like in the first 2 weeks, there was a guy in a cowboy hat carrying a guitar. I never played guitar. Like, I learned how to play in the Marine Corps, and I happened to befriend him, and he was from Spring, Texas. Ended up becoming one of my best friends, and his buddies. That's the reason why, like, I turned down my reenlistment package. I was supposed to go to Bridgeport, California, to be a mountain survival instructor. And I just decided at the last minute, you know what? I'm going to move to Texas and see if I can pursue this music thing. None of this would be here. Like, none of this would have happened if I would have joined them. Like, I would have met the same people. I would have never moved to Texas. I don't think, because 90% of the Marine Corps was from Texas. So Yeah, it's crazy.
It's absolutely amazing. Like there's so many cool stories that like come from things like that, like someone being at the right place, right time. The only way that this story ever gets any better is if you find out in like 10 years that that Army guy was really the Marines' partner, and that's how they really recruit guys. they're in on it together. They're all set up. He's like, I'm just going to make the Army look like shit for 10 minutes, and I'm going to come out dressed to the nines.
Tonight he got his schedule, like knew he was coming.
Yeah, it's probably like something that the
Army
recruiters
guys
have.
I mean, Marines aren't that smart.
He sends him down to the surplus store to get an Army uniform out.
No, see, this is how you could actually believe that, is that they had a deal going where the Army guy goes, "Hey man, I'm quoted up for the month," and they have a bird dog fee, and like, "Hey man, send some guys over to me, freaking, and I'll throw you a freaking Red Lobster freaking gift card or something." You know what I mean? Like,
strong possibility.
Well, hey, if it was the Red Lobster gift card that got you to where you are today, then God
a
bless
Red Lobster gift card.
Now that Scott has shit all over the Army, let's hear how Donnie joined the Army.
So, what Marine pissed you off enough to join the Army, Donnie?
So it's very kind of similar. Scott and I are exactly the same age. I graduated high school in 1999. It was. I come from my father was not in the military, but I have a lot of military in my family. My great uncle Donald landed on the beaches of Normandy. My grandpa was in the Marine Corps during Korea. And both my uncles were Marines. My uncle Tony did two tours as Marine Corps infantry in Vietnam, and my uncle Jimmy was in around like the Desert Storm era in the Marine Corps. And I was real fascinated. I had read the book. I'd read a bunch of things, but I read the book Black Hawk Down, and then that movie came out, and it came out right around the same time Gladiator came out, and it was like, I'm like 20 years old, and just full of just piss and vinegar and testosterone, best shape of my freaking life, and I saw that movie, and that movie captured. I don't know if it was the music. I'm such a Hans Zimmer fan. It's just I don't know if it was just the way that it was shot. I had never seen operators operate. I was not familiar with CAG or any of that stuff, and had heard about the Rangers and had read the book and things like that. But I just saw something and felt something, and then just felt like it was like I didn't know that stuff was going on. And felt it and was really compelled to it, and then, went to Benning and then just and got that, and then I came back and was in the towers went down, and that's when it officially just was like, okay, I'm completely, going all the way into this, and that was it, and it's like, and I have a totally different military experience than Scott does, but it's that's really what it was. It just was a sense of servitude and patriotism, and it just felt like it was like a calling. It was like I don't know if other guys felt the same way, but I remember when that happened, I was like, is there a boat that I can get on? Like, how fast can you get me over there? And it didn't matter who you were going with or what you were going with or what unit or however. It's just like, get me over there. We'll figure it out. Even though, and now I'm like, oh my God, I'm lucky to be alive. But but it's really that kind of thing. I mean, that's honestly it.
Well, as someone that did not serve, I'm sure y'all hear this all the time, but to all three of y'all, thank you for your service, of course. And it's just really cool to see how successful all three of you have become in different careers and journeys and all that kind of stuff. So I'm sure all the listeners that will see this will have the same sentiments.
Well, I'll tell you, that's one of our messages is like, I'll just be blunt with it. I'm so tired of the poor, pitiful veteran story and aspect. I think for a long time, I won't name organizations, but it was like you're watching like one of those commercials, like a Sarah McLachlan, somebody just kicked your dog thing, and it's like, there's, I think that the message that we always try to portray, and you guys heard this at the show, is that as veterans, especially combat veterans, like, it's our duty to come home and to live our best lives, to try to pursue happiness to the best of our ability, to pursue freedom to the best of our ability, because our brothers and sisters don't get to anymore. Veterans, especially ones that served in combat, like, it's like the top percent of human beings on Earth that can go in and do the things that we've done. We're hard, we're tough, we're driven, we're told to go take that building or take that hill or whatever, and we go do it, and we're willing to die to do that. And so when we come back and seeing this, like, completely getting coddled situation for veterans, I'm just like, man, that's not what we need, man. Like, we need stories of people being successful and coming back and saying, hey, I can't undo anything that happened. I can't unpull the trigger. I can't unmake a decision. But what I can do is live my life in a better way to serve humanity, to serve our country, to serve our brothers and sisters, and show them that, like, you can have success after trauma. You can have success after all the bad things that happen, that you can fight your way out of it and still take that hill, and I think that's what we try to convey to our fan base and our fellow veterans who come to our shows, is like, hey, we're up here doing this. You can do it too. Like, we're a couple knuckleheads, man. Well, hey,
I think it's important too that we educate the American people that the first thing they think when they hear veteran, you tell them you're a veteran, the first thing they want to ask you is, do you have PTSD?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what they go to. That's the first thing they go to. And like you said, like, even the guys that have PTSD, it doesn't mean that they're not capable of moving on with their life and doing something great. So if we could get the American people to stop thinking that PTSD automatically ruins somebody and they can't be an asset to a company or do something great with their life. It's like the American people think everybody who served, just all they did was shoot a gun and go into combat, and that's all we learned. We learned so much more as veterans. We learned how to lead, how to manage,
time management,
how to be structured. So if we can get the American people to think that first, at least that's my goal.
Yeah. Well, Donnie actually works with we both do now, but Donnie's been doing it for a long time, an organization called SOTF. And Donnie can tell you more about it, but that's one of the things that they do, especially with the special operators. And one of the things that Donnie says best is, like, they just don't know how to read a military resume.
No, they don't. It's absolutely crazy. I'll deal with these huge corporations. These people are huge supporters of the veteran community. They don't really understand anything, and they can be looking at a 20 or 25-year veteran. I mean, this person has gone through the ranks, has either become senior enlisted or sometimes senior leadership in the officer corps, and these people have commanded these elite units and battalions and just done incredible things throughout their career, and they're like, Donnie, I don't even know what this means. And I'm like, well, let me explain it to you. And then you can explain it to them in layman's terms. And then as soon as they start to understand, and then they meet these people, and they've got a choice between that person and then, some dude who's, fresh out of playing Call of Duty, but he has a college degree, and, they're going to pick that 100% of the time. And also it really helps it really helps with the stigma of the PTSD, because it alleviates downtime. Because men don't want to not work, and you want to have purpose, and so you go from this highly, just such an intense level of commitment and servitude and responsibility and all of these things and high levels of training, and most of these guys are multilingual and multicultural. They've been around the world. They can. And they're highly employable, and so we've seen a massive change in that mentality, especially in the corporate world. which has been fantastic.
I think that's interesting you talk about educating executives how to really read a veteran's resume and what it actually means on
Yep.
whatever's on their resume. What does that mean? I think that's very interesting, and that's
And
awesome.
and then it's really cool because then they start to work with the executive coaches and things like that, and the next thing you know, I mean, these guys they're kicking butt, man, right back in it.
Or they're going out and getting jobs that are jobs that they should be in, and not driving a forklift at Home Depot.
Yeah.
Home Depot.
You know what I mean? Like, or just going to one of the 3-letter agencies and thinking that's all you got that you can do. You got guys that are freaking like running CAG that are freaking. They come out and people are like, "Oh, what do I do with this?" Like, this guy should actually probably be your boss, is what it should be.
Yeah, exactly.
100%. But you're exactly right.
And the things that they did under the pressure they were under is, it's not the same pressure out here in the civilian world.
No, it's fun, dude. We got asked the other day, like, what is the difference of something of like being in war and in combat in the military and the music business, and I'm just like, is that even a question? Like, like we ain't getting shot at. Ain't nobody dying. Like, I mean, this is easy, man.
I'm not
like my wife always like, how come you're so like chill all the time? I'm like, because there ain't nobody shooting at me today. Like, it's freaking sun's out, baby. Like, I'm good to go.
Yeah,
like,
I'm not racking a 50 and going like this. Rolling the dice. Let's see what happens today, guys.
Yeah.
So true. So true. All right, we got a little bit of time left, maybe enough for like one or two more questions. What do you think? If you guys could change one thing in the world and get rid of it so it never existed again, what would it be?
That was the fastest answer.
We just create our own.
Leave people alone.
I knew I loved you, Donnie. You didn't even think it took half a second. Government. It's like you knew we were going to ask.
Screw cancer.
No, I mean, I'm joking, but I mean, leave people alone.
No, for sure. Get out of
Stay out of our lives. I mean, it's absolutely you have to have infrastructure and things like that, but it's like, my goodness, I mean, leave well enough alone. You're not helping. You're not helping, and it's just evident, and it's evident around the world, and you can just see the suffering and the lunacy that comes out of some of these people's mouths. I'm like, you're a crazy person. How are you in charge? How did this happen?
Well, it's like looking at some of the candidates that we have for president on both sides. Like, this is the best our country has to offer. There's no way. Like, there's better people out there. They're just not
politicians, because it's a dirty game, and it's obvious that it requires a sacrifice of integrity. At least for some people, and it just is and it should be for the people, by the people, and it's of the people, and it should be a position of servitude in which they're trying to do the best they can to help their fellow men and women across the world and implement things and be responsible and not just continually screw things up and just continue. It's like I feel like when I think of the government, I think of a giant wound that just has a million Band-Aids on it that's never going to heal. They just keep putting Band-Aids on it. Yeah,
like a body cast.
Just slap the duct tape on it and just hope
it's
it
like a
holds
lumbering. It's like the marshmallow, the Michelin marshmallow man that's just like stumbling through the city, just stepping on people and just like destroying stuff.
Well, I think too, like when you like look at like saying like this is the best their country has to offer, it's the ones that are just there that are actually willing to do it. It's I look at it the same way as like in the military when you have like a high percentage of really good NCOs or staff NCOs or senior leadership that don't stick around because they just don't want to put up with the bullshit. And it's just like good leaders are just going like, hey, I can be freaking making this much money over here, spending time with my family, not getting the runaround because, everything is just, it's a gigantic game in Congress and Senate of it's a never ending freaking circle that just like never stops spinning of bullshit.
It's all about winning and losing.
Right.
It's no longer about what's right.
What's right and wrong.
How can I? Yeah. It's not longer about that. It's about winning and losing. They just want to win, even if they know it's the right thing. If it's a Republican ideal, all the Democrats are going to vote no, right? Because it's a Republican ideal, even if they know it's a different country.
It's crazy
because they don't want to do anything
it's
good.
Crazy,
or vice versa.
Yeah.
I would say,
especially now in 2023, like I say this all the time, but common sense just isn't common anymore. And whenever you're like staring at what our available options are, it's not about what they're saying that you believe in. Now now we got to choose the lesser of two evils. And that's not how it should be. And I don't think there's really a whole lot of people in this country that wouldn't agree with that statement.
No, for sure.
So, but I do love the answer though.
Well, and I would say that and I agree with Donnie on that. But my answer is there's so many answers that you could answer this to. But my answer, it may not be a super popular one, because I am a 100% an advocate and agree with the Second Amendment. But if I had a genie that I could snap my fingers and get rid of everything that fired in the world, every bomb, every tank, every gun, it can never be built again, and we just go back to sticks and stones and axes and arrows, that'd be fine by me. If I get rid of every kind of war device that mass casualty, like, hey, we're going to fight, let's do this freaking, we're going to go one-on-one with freaking axes and freaking and bows. And
what that dad saying Friday? All
Yeah.
you need is these, son.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree 100%. I agree 100%. I mean, if we could undo that,
if we could get rid of anything that you could shoot, fire, whatever, that and it can never happen again, I'd get rid of that in a second.
I've asked that variation of that question a lot of times. Like, what would you ever get rid of? And I think that's the first time I've ever heard that one, and it's perfect. Like, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, one of my favorite answers was mental illness.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So if everybody could just live with a clear mind instead of
battling demons.
Yeah.
And
well, if there's one, I would also like to just totally get rid of the devil.
Yeah, fuck screw that guy.
Would you go away?
Just out of Georgia? just out of Georgia, or
no, just gone completely. Like, what a dick! Like what a dick!
You guys are real asshole.
What a dick!
That's hilarious.
I just got a flashback of South Park when the devil's in bed,
Saddam?
and his wiener comes out with Saddam, and his little wiener comes out of the blankets, and wiggling.
Oh man,
I love South Park.
Oh, great show.
Well, hey guys, I know you're coming to town soon. March 25th, you're going to be playing at the Montgomery Mudbugs Festival. Is that what it's called? Montgomery Mudbugs Festival. So everybody out there watching this episode, make sure you guys come out, watch the War Hippies. I think Mark Chestnut's headlining that event.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a fun event.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, that's going to be awesome. And then we run through Texas about 5 or 6 times out of the year, kind of hitting some different places. So for anybody that's watching in Texas, but you can go to warhippies.com. We play in coast to coast this year, doing a lot of tour dates with Travis Tritt, and then a lot of our own headlining dates. And the website also has all of our social media, everywhere where you can download music, YouTube, all that stuff. Just warhippies.com is the easiest place to go.
Real quick, on YouTube, what would you tell the people listening the 2 or 3 best music videos to watch of your music? Because they're awesome. like what y'all done with some of these videos are great. But if somebody's never listened to you guys, what would you suggest that they go and watch?
Hangman and Killing
those
It.
two. Heck yeah.
Yeah, those are.
Yeah, Killing It is like I'm obsessed with that song.
Is that Gordon's walk-up song?
No. Gordon wanted Make It Out Alive to be his walk-up song.
we had a softball game, and everybody got to choose their own walk-up song, and Gordon chose one of y'all's.
No kidding.
Hell yeah.
Song.
We love
Gordon.
Gordon, man.
Gordon
we love
Pete's
Gordon.
Big fan, man.
Awesome.
Gordon Pete's one of y'all's biggest fans.
Oh, we love him.
Was
man.
one of
Morgan
friends. And then also, which music video is it? Hangman that has all the props from Tombstone? Is that what that was?
Yeah.
That's a pretty cool story.
Yeah.
I like that a lot.
Yeah, we're
Well, thank y'all for taking the time today. We're going to try to get y'all down here later in the year for concert in the country. I'm going to work on that.
Yeah, we'd love it.
We've getting a lot of requests for you guys for that event. It fits the theme of the event, so hopefully we make that happen.
Yeah. Just let us know if there's anything we can do on our end to help make it happen.
all right.
Thanks for listening to the Sailor Jimmy podcast. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform so you never miss an episode. For more information or to connect with Jimmy, check us out on the web at sailorjimmy.com, on Facebook at facebook.com/SailorJimmyTX, on Instagram at SailorJimmyTX, and on TikTok at SailorJimmy. We'll see you next time.